Aliso Viejo is a wonderful city. We do need to work on some of our diversity, and so this question is going to be on that topic. And that is, what steps will you and your campaign staff to engage diverse populations in the political process? And if you could, since we are in Aliso Viejo in Orange County, if you could mention anything specific about Orange County, I would really appreciate it. Kimberly, why don't you start?
Sure. For almost the last 10 years, I've worked for an organization called Emerge California. It recruits and trains Democratic women to run for office. You have several graduates here in Orange County who have gone through the program and been elected, including Farrah Khan, who was recently elected to Irvine City Council. When I took over that organization in 2010, it really was a regional program that serviced about 7 or 8 counties in the Bay Area. Under my leadership in the 7 years there, we expanded to be a statewide organization servicing 3 regions, the Bay Area, Southern California, and last year they opened a program in the Central Valley. Under my leadership, the percentage of women of color who went through the program went from 39% to 56%. So the graduates of Emerge California actually look like the beautiful diversity that is California. You know, last time around I talked a lot about this party being a party that didn't just talk about its values, but a party that lived its values. I talked about being a party that really was inclusive of historically underrepresented and disadvantaged communities. And so for me, I think it's high time this party stop talking about it and start being about it with respect to diversity. What you can expect from me as your next chair is fully 50% of my administration will be women, because women are 50% of this population. And you can expect that the majority of my administration will be people of color, because we live in a state that is majority people of color. You can expect that I will require that all of our standing committees and caucuses also have leadership that reflect California, i.e. people of color. And so I am a person that believes in fewer words and more actions. I believe that it is time for this party to not just talk the talk, but to walk the walk. And so what you can expect from me is a chair who will ensure that every single aspect of this party looks like California.
Thank you. So I hear you, you're going to have minorities, or I'm sorry, you're going to have minimum requirements in terms of your cabinet and who's going to be on there, but what specifically are you going to do to encourage minorities to get involved with the democratic process?
Well, first and foremost, we're going to stop playing the hide the ball game. And what I mean by that is I was talking with some folks talking about the ADEM elections and how there are so few people who actually live in California who even know about the ADEM elections. Unfortunately, there are many ways in which the Democratic Party isn't very democratic. And so first and foremost, we need to be a party that believes in educating our citizenry, a party that really believes in stepping back and welcoming in all of the diversity that is in California. So I want to ensure that we are doing what we need to do to roll up our sleeves to meet people where they're at. Going into those communities, it's actually how we diversified the alum who came through Emerge California. It's going into those communities, not expecting those communities to find us and to come to us. And so ensuring, what I will do is ensure that we are spending time, money, resources, dedicating real people to actually going into the communities of underrepresented, underserved communities of color, and asking them to take part in this party, asking them to be on our committees, asking them to be a part of our caucus, asking them to be a part of this party, which claims the mantle of being the party of diversity. It's time for us to live up to that, not just in talk, but in action.
Daraka, what's your take? What would you do differently than what Kimberly has just described?
Well, first of all, I just want to highlight a little bit about my record, and as it applies to concrete victories in breaking white supremacy and breaking barriers to electing more people of color to office. So I come from a place called Santa Barbara. You've probably heard of it. And when you think of Santa Barbara, you probably think of that old TV show or its reputation as being a playground for the rich. Santa Barbara, the public schools in Santa Barbara are over 47% Latino. The median income in the city of Santa Barbara is about the same, a little bit higher than that of Ventura. You wouldn't know that, right? But we have an increasingly struggling and pinched, predominantly Latino working class in the city of Santa Barbara and in the county that are underrepresented, underempowered, and exploited. Spending 10 years as a county chair in Santa Barbara, I made it one of my #1 priorities to push back on that reality, to fight that reality. Just this last election cycle, I was really, really proud of the fact that when you picked up our door hanger, our local door hanger for the Santa Barbara County Democratic Party, there was like only one white dude on the entire door hanger. And that's both because of the tremendous work that's been done statewide to make sure that the folks that are running on our behalf at the state level are a lot more representative of the state, but it was also the work that we've done locally. In fact, you know, one of the things as a county chair that you have to do, right, is when the party's made an endorsement, try to encourage other people not to split the vote and not to run against those people. I had to sit down with so many white men over the last 10 years and explain that our party is endorsing a young person of color, a woman of color, a woman, and, you know, like, we're not endorsing you, dude, so you just got to sit down. I have the experience in actually having those kinds of tough conversations to make sure that we are both putting forward and supporting and electing a cadre of elected officials in this state that actually reflects who we are. That's the kind of leadership that I will continue as chair of this party. The second thing I would say that I think we always have to be careful of is, and I say this as a person of color who's done a lot of work in my life as a person of color in a predominantly white organization, which isn't always the easiest thing. And one of the things that happens a lot is that we get into what I call the Noah's Ark mentality. And the Noah's Ark mentality is when folks look around the room and they feel bad because it's not as representative as they'd like it to be. So they're tasked with then going out and finding 2 black folks and 2 Latinos and 2 lesbian folks, right? And let's get everybody 2 by 2 into the Ark. The problem is communities of color are in action all over this state. They're not sitting around waiting to be invited to our Ark, right? They're building their own. They're challenging racist laws that privilege white voters. They're suing cities in order to go to district elections. They're mobilizing in their community to protect people against police violence. What I would do as chair, first and foremost, is to work in coalition with those organizations, to sit at those tables and to show that the Democratic Party is a space that values those issues, that prioritizes those issues. My experience as a community organizer, a student organizer, and a labor organizer is always that the first thing an organization needs to do is be there on the issues for communities of color. And then communities of color will see us as a partner and people will get more involved. So that's the approach that I would take.